waived by the Bucks earlier this month. The 9-time All-Star, he will likely miss the entire upcoming season, recovering from an Achilles injury, but he returns to the team that drafted him in 2012, and I love that they already had the locker room ready for his return. Our senior insider, Shams Charania, is here with more. Shams, there were a lot of teams interested in Damian Lillard. Beyond sort of the heartfelt story, who else was in the mix, and why did he ultimately choose to go back to Portland?
Malika, over a dozen teams made minimum and mid-level exception offers to Damian Lillard. Two teams in particular, I'm told, that Damian Lillard really considered, and that's the Boston Celtics and the Minnesota Timberwolves. He held calls with both teams at different points. But to be in Portland, back home with his 3 young kids, that was by far the most important factor, I was told, in his return to the Trailblazers. And he was going to spend the year rehabbing in Portland anyways from that Achilles tear. But to return to Portland, the franchise that he obviously is an icon in, that meant a lot to him. He held multiple meetings with general manager Joe Cronin and head coach Chauncey Billups at his house in the last few weeks. So he goes back 3 years, $42 million. He's one of 2 players, along with LeBron James, to have a no-trade clause right now in the NBA. So a return to Portland made sense for him on a lot of different levels. And this next season, Malika, he's going to be earning $70 million between his Bucks salary and his Blazers salary. In 2 years before his player option in 2027, he has a guaranteed $141 million over the next 2 years.
I mean, I know that he will be sitting out likely all year, but making $70 million to do that isn't so bad if you want to look at the glass half full here. The recovery process, though, is going to be long. What are his expectations, Shams, for when he might return to the court?
Malika, Damian Lillard will be using the entire 2025-26 season to rehab that Achilles tear and then make his return, his reunion in Portland in that arena in 2026-2027. And then he has that opt-out in the summer of 2027. The mindset of Damian Lillard right now is that that summer he will be going into free agency, potentially in line for another big deal. But now he's in Portland. He's going to be there rehabbing. He's going to be there, a big part of the community, big part of the roster, a leader for that young team. You think about what the Blazers have done this offseason, not only in the draft with Yang Hansen, but also getting Jrue Holiday, a veteran all-star caliber player. Then you get now Damian Lillard back. So they're making moves to retool this roster to try to be more competitive in the next couple of years. Chauncey Billups finished last season 22-18. They had a top 5 defense as well in the second half of the season.
And you just think, Shams, the first time back in Moda Center when they say over the PA system and wearing the letter O, it's Damian Lillard. That place is going to go absolutely nuts. Thank you so much for your reporting, Shams. We'll see you back here in just a little bit. Udonis Haslem, Bobby Marks, Iman Shumpert joining me now. I'm going to start with you here, UD. Your first reaction when you saw that Damian Lillard is going back to Portland?
Excitement, excited. I'm happy for Dame. I understand who Dame is as a person. I understand the things that are important to Dame. It's his love for his family and his loyalty to the city of Portland. He loves the city of Portland. He never really wanted to leave, but he wanted to put himself in a position where he can fight and contend for a championship. And his love for his family is very important for him. I look at that situation in Portland and I say, yes, he's not going to play the year that's coming up, but he has the opportunity to mentor some great young players. He has the opportunity to be next to Chauncey Billups, who's a champion. Dame is obviously a Hall of Famer. They just brought in James Posey, who's a champion. Jrue Holiday's a champion. So when you look at Scoot Henderson, when you look at Sharp, when you look at Klingon, when you look at all these young guys, Yang Hansen, the guy who they got from China, when you look at all these young guys, this is really an opportunity for these young guys to really learn from some of the best guys that have played the game of basketball.
Without a doubt, I got to second him there. Like, having Damian Lillard in a role now where he doesn't have to produce 40 points. It's just going to be a year for him to talk to guys, make sure guys are in the right position, make sure guys are working out to make themselves better in their own right. Then when he joins the team the following year, we'll be able to look at what he can do and see if he can go a little bit less on the Dame time and just be more, honestly, big shot. Be more Chauncey Billups in that idea of I'm going to direct traffic a little bit more. I'm going to put guys in positions to be successful. I'm not trying to win a scoring title. I'm trying to win a title.
Right, and waiting now with Scoot Henderson maybe or a Shaedon Sharpe mentoring those young guys, because with no Anthony Simons on this team anymore, they really have a ability to step up this year. I completely understand, and I think it's so wonderful, the family part of all of this as well, Bobby. But looking at this deal from the Blazers' point of view, how should they be looking at this?
I think, Malika, you look at it in two different ways here.
Okay.
I think the first way is that he's an extension of Chauncey Billups' coaching staff this upcoming year, certainly rehabbing from that Achilles injury. As Sham said, the likelihood is that he's not going to be playing. You've got all these young players, as Amon and UD has said, certainly Scoot Henderson and Shaden Sharp and Donovan Clingan. So for right now, it's the extension part as far as when he can get back healthy. And then the second part is then on the basketball court. How is the pairing with Drew Holiday work? How does that work next year? Most of this roster is intact for the 2026-27 season. Really, the only big free agent is Robert Williams. So you do bring back the nucleus of this roster. The other thing, too, Malika, when he left in 2023, that roster was not very good. When you look at it 2 years later, this is a significantly improved roster that he's walking into right now.
Yeah, and when you look at why he left to try to win a title here. It wasn't a successful fit, really, with the Milwaukee Bucks, and in heartbreaking fashion, he tore his Achilles at the end of the season. But when you look at the basketball fit now, UD, for Damian Lillard with Portland, it's not necessarily one of those upper echelon contender teams, but there are ways in which this works. How do you see that?
Obviously, the mentorship the first season, but then the second season you come in and everybody knows how great Dame is, controlling the pace, handling the ball, scoring the basketball. But I also feel like he has the opportunity to play next to a great guard who can defend on both ends, who can play both sides of the basketball court. When you look at what Milwaukee was able to do with Drew Holiday at the point guard when they were 11th in offense, but they were #1 in defense. So when you look about Dame going back to Portland, yes, Dame is going to score a lot of points, but when you talk about a team who finished 5th in defense last year in the second half of the season, this is another opportunity to get one of the best two-way players in the league. You saw the impact that he had with Milwaukee winning the championship. You saw the impact that he had with Boston winning the championship. So when you put one of the best clutch players in the league next to one of the best two-way players in the league, you really have a good backcourt for these young guys to learn from.
Without a doubt. When he talks about a guy playing both sides of the ball, Drew Holiday has been talked about at that position, and not just the point guard position or the shooting guard position. He's been mentioned as a combo guard.
Right.
He can guard 1 through 3. Guys that can do that can make it to where you guys can switch on defense. Those type of things is what Damian Lillard has never had. Even though he's had C.J. McCollum, him and C.J. McCollum were not together to be a prominent defensive guarding team. Like they weren't supposed to be out there guarding things and cutting the head off the snake, so to speak. Drew Holiday has always prided himself on that, and he's also prided himself on being able to stand next to a superstar and say, this is where I fit in.
The Portland Trail Blazers, they finished the end of last season 23-18. So they put together a little run there, really defensive-minded run where they were able to stack together a couple of wins here. And now they get the most famous Trailblazer in the history of the organization back. The letter O is back in Portland. It is Dame time, but over in Vegas, Blazers rookie Yang Hansen, he knows what time it is as well. So let's head out there now, shall we hear Shump? Look, he's saying, yep.
There you go, baby.
It is Dame time. The clocks are working once again. Excited for his new teammate here. Hansen, though, he has been a summer league sensation. A little baby hook over the left shoulder.
Love his patience.
Nice.
Very, very patient.
And then doing it on the defensive end as well here. Watch Hansen. He said, get that out of there.
Yeah.
Swats that one away. And then in the fourth quarter here, break this one down for me as he gets downhill on the pick and roll.
What's wild about him is his ability to keep away with the ball. You see a lot of guys that big, you're thinking they're going to go over the top, but he does a lot of scoop shots and getting right to that.
There's some finesse there for sure. Bronny James having a solid summer league as well. Gets inside, hits the floater there, and then later in the corner here, Shump. James, nice little dribble move, gets inside.
Playing with dude.
Tough layup. He finished with 18 points in this one.
Playing with dude, y'all making him mad.
But how about this play from Jordan Walsh?
Hey!
Leaks it out the other side for the windmill slam. He finished with 17 and 6. The Celtics get the 9-point victory in this one. All right, checking in on Con Knipple. How about we pick this one up? Contested 3 here on the right wing. This is what he did all through college. Shoot or shoot.
Nice.
And then in the third here, Knipple tracks down the loose ball and then throws a crazy over the head to P.J. Hall, who makes the layup there.
That's a lot of Jokic, huh?
Yeah, clearly, eyes in the back of his head. And then here, going to work Nice little baseline jumper. He had 19 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists in this one. The Hornets loved him going into the draft, and they were able to get their man. Charlotte gets the win in Las Vegas. Still to come on NBA Today, let's head to WNBA All-Star Weekend. Kelsey Plum, she will be competing in tonight's three-point contest, and she joins us next. Plus, the Hawks, they have a big Trae Young decision coming. So Shams, he is back to tell us exactly what is at stake.
No, but people used to always mess up my name, and it used to get on my damn nerves, so I know how I feel when they can never get your name right.
What do you mean they'd mess up Udonis? Udonis?
Yeah, Udonis, I've been called I've been called everything. Hasselman.
Oh, man. We need to start working on some people's pronunciations here. Next up, Kyrie Irving finding different ways to stay busy this summer.
2016 champion.
Irving, fake.
Y'all will never see
Tonight for Brooklyn, as Casey pointed out at halftime.
2016 champion, absolutely correct. Iman, you ever watch highlights of yourself during the summer?
Oh, yeah. I know that probably was funny for everybody, but me and Kyrie watch a ton of YouTube highlights. Like, in order for me to actually go against you and hate you, I have to be a fan.
But do you watch yourself?
Yeah.
You watch yourself?
Gotta get better. Gotta get better. I mean, I don't watch as many highlights as Kyrie. I ain't had a ball all game. Tell Kyrie to pass it a little bit more.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to improve, to see some highlights of yourself. Also, you got to pump yourself up sometimes. I get it. The NBA 2K26 Summer League, it rolls on tonight. The Pacers and the Pelicans square off at the Pavilion. Our coverage begins at 9 Eastern on ESPN and ESPN+. We do, though, have some breaking news out of Vegas. We're going to bring back our senior insider, Shams Charania. Shams, what is the latest here out of New Orleans?
Malika, Pelicans lottery pick Derek Queen has undergone surgery to repair a torn ligament in his left wrist. He will be reevaluated in 12 weeks. He's averaged 14 points, 11 rebounds so far in Summer League, but now this is an injury that's going to sideline him into training camp, potentially into the regular season in his rookie season. And remember, the Pelicans moved up 10 slots in the NBA draft from 23 to 13, and they gave up a unprotected first-round pick for 2026, their own or Milwaukee's, in that trade to move up 10 slots for Derek Queen. They think very highly of him. His rookie season looks like it will be at least a little bit cut into with this injury.
Yeah, and that's a really valuable pick they gave up here, looking at the depth of this 2026 draft. Shams, while we have you here, we know there's also, Summer League is also a time for a lot of wheeling and dealing. What else are you following out of Las Vegas right now?
Malika, executives in Las Vegas we're closely watching and monitoring the future and status of Atlanta's Trae Young. He has 2 years left on his deal this upcoming season, but he has a player option in 2026. He can be a free agent next summer. It's going to be a much more flush market in free agency coming up. And listen, this is an Atlanta Hawks team that has made a ton of moves this offseason, got Kristaps Porzingis. They can go several different directions with this team. They have a rising young team. They have guys like Jalen Johnson, Zachary Risache. But the Hawks want to see how this team looks. Both Trae Young and Kristaps Porzingis are extension eligible. But Trae Young, by all accounts, I'm told, is locked in. He's excited about this team. He really believes this team is as close to that team several years ago. They made it to the conference finals in the East. He's excited, but I do know Trae Young a little bit, and I know once he gets into the season, he wants to focus on that season. So if there is no extension, we're into the regular season, I would not be surprised if he just waits until the 2026 summer before any decisions on his future.
Yeah, you and I have been talking about that focus, that renewed focus that Trae Young has, not going to the Jordan party with other Jordan athletes and instead being in Las Vegas, seeing his teammates working out, those sorts of little things. At times, Trae Young's leadership over the years has been questioned, and I really think this summer we've seen several instances of him really rising to the occasion. Shams, thank you so much for that insight and that reporting. I want to bring in Mr. Money Moves, Bobby Marks here, because whenever we're talking about contract negotiations, I need you to weigh in here, Bobby. How would you approach this with Trae Young?
I would approach it with an extension, but not at the 4 for 222 number here.
Okay.
I think we're in a day and age of roster building where you have to be extremely careful when you hand out max contracts where you're averaging out $55 million. And Trae Young is certainly an all-star level player. I'm not putting him up there in a top 15, maybe even top 20 in the NBA here. And I think I want to see how this roster develops. They certainly went out and got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Luke Kennard, Kristaps Porzingis. They drafted Asa Newell. Dyson Daniels is also up for an extension here. I'm waiting out this season here. I'm offering him something, but it's not going to be at that 4 for 222 number.
Interesting. Do you think that that's the number that's a little too high for Trae? I don't like to count people's money.
Yeah, I don't either. But I think back on that quote that I was talking about when Kevin Durant said he thinks the 6-foot point guard might be coming to an end.
Oh yeah, when he was on Mind the Game.
And this is what I think he was talking about, where you're saying, yes, Trae Young, statistically, what he brings to a game of basketball, I get it. At 6, what is he, 6'2"?
6'3".
6'2", 6'3". It's tough to say, can he switch on to a 5 at the end of the game? Can he guard a bigger guard? Can he, what are the other things that he can do besides score it? Can he make a 2-guard a scoring champion? Those are the things that we're thinking about and we're looking at when we're thinking of a smaller guard. You're thinking of a guy that can get guys going, that could pitch ahead, especially after seeing OKC and Indiana in the finals. You have to be thinking we have to change our game and change our style a little bit to make sure that we're pitching ahead, we're moving the baton, and we're making sure the other guys are getting off. If you don't have 3 or 4 guys that are weapons on your team, if there's only one head to cut off the snake, then it's going to be a tough day for him.
Basketball Reference is saying 6'1" here for Trae Young. Udonis, how are you looking at this?
I mean, I see Trae Young as a max talent. And when you look at guys like Jalen Brunson and those guys, I see Trae Young as a max talent. This is a guy who hasn't averaged less than 24 the last 3 years. And by the way, he's either led the league in total assists or assists per game. So you can see how much of their offense that they are accounted for. When you look at what they've done, when they put Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's a great two-way player, you got Dyson Daniels, who was one of the top defensive players of the year last year, also most improved. You got Caleb Houston. We talked about what they do in Canada and those guys having something in Canada. This is a guy who shot over 50% last year, the second half of the season after All-Star break. You got Porzingis, who's a guy who can be a matchup problem offensively, shoot the 3, and also be a rim protector. So, yes, he's not going to be a guy that Trae is going to switch on, but you've put enough pieces and enough defense around him where you can protect Trae Young. The question with Trae Young is he going to show up an hour before practice? Is he going to stay 2 hours late after practice? Those guys in that locker room and in that organization have to believe that it is just as important to Trae Young as anybody else. If it's important to Trae Young, it will be important to everybody else in that locker room. That's where I think the separation is for Trae Young. How important is it, and can he lead this team to a championship and be that leader and that guy that's accountable? That's where he falls short. That's what he's working on. I love the fact that he didn't take the Jordan tour and he was there this year. That's the only thing I see him falling short of. But when you look at the numbers, you can put Trae Young numbers right up next to Jalen Brunson and all those guys, and his numbers will equal out.
Without a doubt. I second all the things that he said. I think that it's going to have to be a decision in Trae's mind of what does he want to be remembered for.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you have shown us all your gifts. You've shown us what you can do. And now to win and take the next step, that's where the breakdown of film has to be a little bit different. And we just want to see him take that next step. It's not that we don't care about the max, but it's like if you got to take a couple million less, take a couple million less, make sure your team is good, and keep playing where you want to play.
I also think that he has a real opportunity to do that this year differently than we've seen since they were able to in 2021, right? Because I sat down with Tyrese Halliburton in the NBA Finals, and we're certainly hoping to see him back on the floor soon. He said something, he didn't mean it as a diss. He just meant it as a fact. He said that after we made it to as far as we did in the playoffs 2 seasons ago, people looked at us and said, are we the Atlanta Hawks from 2021, or are we going to prove that this was not a fluke and we're going to get back there? The Atlanta Hawks have an opportunity to prove that they're still a team that's formidable, especially in an Eastern Conference that really is as wide open as I have seen. So if Trae Young and this Atlanta Hawks team, they've done an excellent job this summer, is able to maybe throw a punch in that Eastern Conference conversation, then it's going to be something really interesting to talk about, especially because, as Shams just said, Trae Young may wait if something is not done before the season. All right, we've been saying and saving the best quotes of the week just for today. It's time for a little Who Said That? Iman, it's your first time playing. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Woo-hoo-hoo. That's next.